Did you know the US RICO Act could be the key to finally dealing with the rampant corruption that infects the Philippines? If you're sick of the same old excuses, this might be the answer. The RICO Act, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, is an American law from 1970. It was created to crush organized crime, giving prosecutors the power to go after entire criminal enterprises, not just the goons on the ground, but the big bosses too. Crimes under RICO include bribery, corruption, fraud, money laundering, drug trafficking, murder, and extortion. Sound familiar? That's because these crimes plague our country, but unlike the US, we don't have the tools to fight back. Under RICO, an enterprise can mean a formal organization, like a government agency, or an informal group, like a gang of corrupt officials. Originally designed to target mafia families, RICO's scope expanded to include political corruption, corporate fraud, and even white-collar crime. It's been used to take down mob bosses, dismantle syndicates, and expose massive scandals like Enron. So, why hasn't the Philippines followed suit? While we've tried to adapt some RICO principles through laws like the Anti-Money Laundering Act, RA 9160, and the Terrorism Financing Act, RA 10168, the results have been lackluster. Why? Because of corruption, weak enforcement, and a legal system that favors the rich and powerful. Worse, laws like these are often weaponized against political opponents instead of being used to fight real criminals. Let's stop the nonsense. It's time for a dedicated anti-corruption law, a Filipino RICO Act that focuses solely on smashing graft and corruption. Let's call it the Philippines Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or PRICO. This law would target not just the perpetrators of corruption but their accomplices, all the enablers and cronies who profit from the system. If you're complicit, you're guilty. Period. Here's the plan. Asset seizure. The moment there's probable cause, authorities should immediately seize assets tied to corruption. None of this waiting until trial nonsense. We need to freeze the wealth of these crooks before it magically disappears. Pre-trial restraints. Prosecutors must get restraining orders to block these criminals from moving their ill-gotten wealth. They should also demand performance bonds to ensure there's something left to confiscate when the guilty verdict comes in. Presumption of guilt. The burden of proof must shift to the accused. If you're living lavishly on a government salary, guess what? You're presumed guilty until you can prove otherwise. Enough with the endless denials. If properly implemented, PRICO could revolutionize our fight against corruption. Imagine holding powerful officials accountable, recovering stolen funds, and deterring future corruption with harsh penalties. This law wouldn't just punish, it would send a clear message: if you steal from the Filipino people, you will pay. Join us in this fight. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, KleptoStop.Philippines. Together, our voices can shake the corrupt elite and demand real change. Let's make PRICO a reality and take back our country from the thieves running it into the ground. The people's voice is divine will. Let's fight for it. Let's make it happen. See you in the next episode of KleptoStop.Philippines.